I was born in 1977 in Harare, Zimbabwe, and coming from a developing nation, one of the natural inclinations is to want to succeed more, is to want to progress even more. And I've always been excited about life. I've used that desire to succeed as an advantage in everything I do. My purpose as an individual is something that I'm learning to discover. I'm an encourager. I love to motivate people. My wife, Samantha, and I have been pastoring churches within Celebration family of churches across the world. A few years ago, about 4 years ago, we were pastoring a group of young adults in Zimbabwe, and we happened to travel to Kariba for a 3-day retreat. And whilst we were there at Kariba Dam, which is one of the largest man-made lakes in Africa and indeed the world, we were astounded at the size of this dam. The dam wall itself was built between 1945 and 1955. On the inside of the dam are 6 turbines that churn out thousands of volts of electricity. The dam wall itself has got built into it about 6 gates that open and shut and let water out to drain the dam. It's amazing. I couldn't believe the technology that had been employed in 1945. Whilst we were in Kariba, Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe, I was inspired to convince myself why I should dream big. And so I began to write down a list of about 100 reasons why I ought to dream big. And as I wrote these reasons down over time, it became obvious to me that I had a dream, and dreaming big is something that comes naturally to any human being. And so out of the reasons, and I must have come up with 100 reasons or so, I began to harvest the reasons that really spoke to me, and I began to put them aside. And after a while I decided, well, why didn't I turn this into a book? And of course, out of that, the book Dream Big and Make It Happen, 40 Reasons Why was born. And that's what we have today. And coming from a developing nation, one of the things about me is that I've always had an inclination to wanting to achieve more and wanting to succeed. Because of the background and where we come from, things have not always been easy. My spiritual mentor has been Pastor Tom Dushel. In fact, he writes the foreword to this book, Dream Big and Make It Happen, and I'm so grateful for his wisdom over the years, and especially for the fact that he would attach over 30 years of ministry to my book and bolster the message that I'm getting across. There are the mentors indeed that I may not have met directly, but they've mentored me through their books. They've mentored me through conferences I've attended, and I've sat under their teaching and gleaned from them. These are men such as Dr. Mensa Otabil, who wrote an amazing book called By the Future. He's a pastor in Ghana in Africa. Dr. Miles Monroe, he's a pastor in the Bahamas. There's people of times gone by, Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. There's flamboyant business people like Donald Trump, who wrote the book together with Bill Zanker called Think Big. There's people like Richard Branson, who've written the book Losing My Virginity. And all these books are books I've read and gleaned from and learned from to come up with this book, Dream Big and Make It Happen. I think the book has turned out to be something that I in a way didn't expect but expected. You know what I mean? In that I had an idea in my mind what it was going to be, but one day before we sent the final draft off to the publisher, I got this amazing idea to add in something to the book. And I mean, this is something I hadn't thought of. In 2 years of writing the book, I hadn't thought about it. And literally on the last day before I send it off, I'm looking at this book and I'm thinking something's missing. And straight away, this idea came to me, I added 3 dynamics on that last day that changed the face of the book. The first thing I did was that instead of stating the reason for exactly what it is, I went in there and I began to give these really wonderful almost like chapter titles to each one. One of them is "This is Sparta." If you've watched the movie 300, you know what that is. You'll have to read the book to find out what "This is Sparta" is all about. The other one is "Die once, live twice." In that I'm talking about legacy, leaving a legacy. The other one is I spoke about "Break the Law." The other one was "Ripple Effect," helping people with your dream, and there's just so many more. The second thing that I added in the book is the last bit of the book, and it's entitled "Houston, We Don't Have a Problem." If you've watched the movie Apollo 13, I think it is, the guy rings back to NASA after they have a problem, and it's taken from a true story by the way. He rings back to NASA from up somewhere in space, and he says, "Houston, we have a problem." And so I kind of played a twist on that. "Houston, we don't have a problem." But in that particular section, I'm talking about taking the first step to discover your dream and to actually making it happen. I'm so excited about that. And then of course there's the element that involves the reader. What I did was I list 40 reasons in the book, but the book is actually a book of 41 reasons, at least potentially 41 reasons, because the 41st reason is a challenge I've laid out to the reader to say, perhaps you can add your own reason why you should dream big. So each book will eventually have 41 reasons, but the 41st reason will be different from every book. So every single book that I produce will end up becoming a unique copy. But that's if you add your reason. You gotta add your reason. Add your reason. I said add your reason. Well, I can tell you how excited I am about the release of my first book, Dream Big and Make It Happen. And I make a point of calling it my first book because I know I'm going to write more books, and it was important that I get this first one. It's like this first one was holding all the other ones, so now it's out there so the other ones can come out. But the one thing that I've done that I'm looking forward to presenting to you is the audiobook. That's right, there's an audiobook version coming of Dream Big and Make It Happen. So if this was one of those TV sales kind of things, it would go something like this: the book Dream Big and Make It Happen will really encourage you to get out there and dream big. But wait, there's more. The audiobook is coming out, and I can't wait for that to come out. I'm working on it right now, and we're putting it together. It's gonna be very exciting. And if there's anything that I leave with you as you watch this documentary, is to encourage you to drop all limitations, drop all excuses, and just begin to get on with that one thing or that dream, that lifelong dream, the childhood dream that you've always wanted to do. For some people it's travel, for some people it's building houses or something, I don't know. For some people it's building businesses. Whatever it is, you just need to get on doing it, because if you don't, you're just gonna regret it. One of the things I write in my book, and I'm mindful of this in my own life, is that growing old, and you gotta listen to this carefully, growing old is not a matter of age, but growing old is a matter of regret. You're only old when you start to regret. But as long as you have a dream, you're as young as a spring chicken. Well, I hope you dream big. It's been good talking to you. Buy the book. Buy the book. Say buy the book, all right?